Once upon a time, in a prosperous kingdom called Ilaria, there ruled an unjust king named Garan. King Garan was feared by his people for his cruel and arbitrary rule. He levied heavy taxes on the poor, lived in excessive luxury, and punished even the slightest disobedience with harsh consequences. Though the kingdom had once flourished under his father, King Garan's reign turned it into a land of despair and poverty. Among his courtiers, there was no one who dared speak against him, for fear of losing their lives or their wealth. The rich nobles enjoyed their privileges as long as they remained loyal to Garan, while the common people suffered under his oppression. His arrogance grew with each passing day, believing that his power was invincible and that the throne would be his forever. One fateful day, a wise old hermit named Elros arrived in the capital city. Known for his knowledge and prophetic visions, Elros traveled from village to village, offering wisdom to those in need. He had heard of the misery plaguing Ilaria and decided it was time to visit the court of King Garan. The people hoped that Elros, with his wisdom, might challenge the king's unjust rule. When Elros arrived at the palace, he requested an audience with the king. Amused by the thought of an old hermit daring to speak in his court, King Garan granted the request. He sat on his golden throne, surrounded by his ministers, as Elros was led into the grand hall. The hall itself reflected Garan's vanity, adorned with opulent decorations, while the people outside starved. Elros bowed respectfully but wasted no time with pleasantries. "O king," he began, "I have traveled far and wide, and I bring a warning. The scales of justice are imbalanced in your kingdom, and if you do not change your ways, your downfall is certain. The land cries out under your tyranny, and the people will not endure forever." King Garan smirked, dismissing the warning with a wave of his hand. "Old man, you speak as if you know the future. But I am the king. I control this kingdom, not fate or justice. My power is absolute." Elros, unfazed by the king's arrogance, continued. "Power that is misused will always crumble, O king. The winds of change are stronger than any throne built on injustice. You may laugh today, but soon you will see the truth." The king, growing irritated, decided to test the hermit. "If you are so wise, Elros, let us see if you can solve a problem for me. In my dungeons, there is a prisoner, a man condemned for stealing bread. If you can convince me to free him, perhaps I will believe your words." Elros agreed and was taken to the dungeon. The prisoner, a poor farmer named Joran, had been thrown into the dungeons after stealing a single loaf of bread to feed his starving family. His crime was minor, but under King Garan's harsh laws, even the smallest offense was punished severely. The hermit asked Joran to tell his story, and the man wept as he spoke of his children, their empty bellies, and the desperation that drove him to steal. Elros listened intently, and after hearing Joran's tale, he returned to the throne room. "O king," Elros began, "the man in your dungeon is no criminal. He is a father trying to save his family from starvation. If your kingdom is just, he should not be punished but helped. A king who allows his people to suffer while he feasts in luxury is not a ruler but a tyrant." Garan's eyes narrowed. "You dare call me a tyrant in my own court? You forget your place, hermit. The law is the law, and it must be upheld. If I show mercy, others will believe they can disobey me as well." Elros shook his head. "True justice is not blind obedience to the law, but understanding when mercy is necessary. If you rule without compassion, your people will have no love for you. And without their love, your power is an illusion." The king, furious at the challenge to his authority, ordered that Elros be thrown into the dungeons alongside Joran. "Let him see what mercy gets him," Garan declared, confident that no one would dare oppose him. The people, however, began to talk. They admired Elros for his courage, and word spread of the hermit's warning to the king. Quietly, a movement began to grow. The people, tired of the heavy taxes and the cruel punishments, started to whisper of rebellion. They spoke of justice, of overthrowing the king who had abandoned his duty to them. In the darkness of the dungeon, Elros remained calm. He knew that his words had already planted the seeds of change. Joran, though despondent, found hope in the hermit's wisdom. "How can we fight such a powerful king?" Joran asked one evening. Elros smiled gently. "The king's power is not as strong as he believes. When the people unite for a just cause, no tyrant can stand against them. We must have patience." Outside, unrest grew. The people began to gather in secret, organizing under the banner of justice. They were led not by soldiers or noblemen, but by the very farmers, laborers, and merchants whom King Garan had oppressed. The movement gained momentum, and soon, even some of the king's own soldiers began to question their loyalty. One night, the people marched to the palace, carrying torches and banners. They were peaceful but determined. They demanded the release of the prisoners and an end to King Garan's rule. The king, seeing the size of the crowd from his balcony, was shaken for the first time in his life. His guards hesitated, unsure whether to follow orders or join the people. In a moment of desperation, Garan called for Elros, releasing him from the dungeons. "What must I do to stop this?" he asked, fear in his voice. Elros looked at him sadly. "You could have ruled with justice and earned their love, but now it is too late for that. If you wish to avoid bloodshed, you must step down from the throne and allow the people to choose their leader." The king was outraged. "Step down? I am the king." But as he looked out at the crowd, he realized that his time was over. Reluctantly, and with great shame, King Garan abdicated. The people rejoiced, and a new era began in Aleria, an era where justice, compassion, and wisdom guided the kingdom. Elros, having fulfilled his purpose, left the palace quietly. He disappeared into the countryside, knowing that the kingdom was now in the hands of the people, where it rightfully belonged. And from that day forward, the story of the unjust king's fall became a lesson passed down through generations. Power built on injustice will always crumble in the face of truth and unity.